Hello.
Hey guys. Today we're going to talk about kind of a topic that we've alluded to a few times.
Yeah, it's like one of those topics we keep saying, it's coming, it's coming,
Yeah,
it's coming.
we'll do a video about that at some point. Yeah.
And we actually tried to do a video, but
we lost the light.
we lost the light in it.
But it's so bright and sunny today, so we thought,
Let's do it.
Let's get her done.
Today's a good day.
And the topic is when we broke up.
Mm-hmm.
And subsequently, obviously, got back together.
Yes.
But the topic is really more about how to break up and how to process that.
Yeah, we were talking about how to put this video together, and we're kind of like how to get your ex back, and it's not that at all.
Really
like,
not.
We don't want to frame it around.
In fact, had either of us had that intention, when we split,
we wouldn't have gotten back together.
We wouldn't have gotten back together.
Yeah, so the more we talked it through and really thought about it, like the whole reason I think we were really able to get back together is because we both tried so hard to get over each other.
Yeah.
And just move forward with the belief that it was done.
Yeah, exactly.
This is more a video on how to get over a breakup than about us getting back together, I think.
Yeah. We can talk about us getting back together a little bit.
Totally. I think it's definitely an interesting story.
Yeah.
And does have like some lessons and tips for people who are trying to get back together around boundary setting and how to approach it as a new relationship when you already have a depth of knowing with each other.
Yeah, totally. So how do we want to unpack this thing?
Yeah, that's a great, where do we start?
It's funny because we were planning when we were like on a walk the other day, we were like, well, what should we talk about? And we went like half an hour talking about why we broke up.
And then we realized,
so self-indulgent.
we're like,
you don't care.
it doesn't matter why we broke up. Do we even know why we broke up?
Yeah.
What our stories tell us about why we broke up? Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point,
which is actually a good lesson right there, is that you don't necessarily know why a breakup has happened. There's going to be all these conscious and unconscious reasons. So I think like removing that whole like story from the equation is really healthy for people.
I do think it's important to reflect on why you tell yourself the relationship ended, if that's the truth, like.
But I think it's just hard to know.
Where is that coming from? Yeah, it's hard to know, but I think it's
especially
a good thing
in
to
retrospect.
reflect on.
Yeah, but in retrospect, like I've got all these conscious reasons that I ended it, but I don't know.
Yeah, so let's start there. So about a year into our dating, we broke up. And Dev is the one who did the breaking and broke my heart. And yeah, that really kind of started that deep soul-searching journey for me and for you to some degree, I imagine, even though you were the one doing the breaking up of. You still had your own process of grief to go through.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like being the breaker-upper is the harder position in a lot of ways. Have you ever broken up with someone and it was a huge challenge because you wonder why and could I?
Yeah. Is this the right choice? Did I make a mistake?
Yeah. So, and then there's always this feeling of like, oh, if I just tried, we could get back together. So there's like this little tether.
And it's tough because when you're going through a breakup, like, there's this extreme chemical reaction going on in your body that's similar to a drug withdrawal.
Right.
So whether or not you're the one doing the breaking up, you're still going to get those feelings. So all of a sudden you have all these like withdrawal emotions,
and you have a hookup,
and you're starting to question.
And I know, like, as the breaker-upper, I know that if I just went to my dealer, I could probably work something out, just a little taste.
Yeah.
Whereas for you, that wasn't as much of an option. So you were like in a rehab center essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I wouldn't have accepted your.
I'm sure you wouldn't have, but in my mind, because I was the person who instigated
you kind of had the upper hand.
I could go back.
Interesting.
And I think that's a common thing that I've had in my mind.
Like you kind of held that card of. Whereas I was the one that was abandoned.
Exactly.
So that wasn't like I'm unwanted. I can't go back to this.
Right, exactly. I can't go get more. Whereas I can be, in my mind, that drug addiction part of me was like, I just go get a little taste. Just go get a little bit.
So, but that's like hands down the hardest part is like that initial initial break.
Oh yeah.
Like I literally stayed in bed crying for days. Like I couldn't. I'd wake up crying. I would like all through the night. I would just wake up crying and go back to sleep, and wake up crying and go back to sleep. I was just like fetal position on the floor, devastated. I think, you know, if you're lucky enough to have been in love at some point, then you're unfortunate enough to have experienced heartbreak. And we all know that it's like the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah. But it's a feeling, you know, it's a feeling that we get to experience. I always feel like as painful as those experiences have been for me in my life, I always look at them fondly at this point.
Yeah.
Because they have made me who I am.
Totally.
They made this possible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, so that was awful. And I think it was like I was so in love with you when you broke up with me. Like I was finally like sure that I loved him, and was like, I'd literally said to my girlfriend a few days earlier, I'm finally ready to tell him I love him.
Yeah.
And then you broke up with me. I was just devastated. I just could not function. I remember calling, you know, friends at 11 a.m. like eating cake on my kitchen floor, just crying, being like, I want to talk to him, like I miss him.
And for some context, I had told you that I loved you like 3 months earlier.
Yeah, and I hadn't said it back.
Yeah.
So that created an interesting
interesting dynamic. Yeah.
I just wasn't sure, and I wanted to be sure.
And
I definitely cared about you, but I love you is such a big word to say, and I didn't want to just say it because you had said it. 100%.
But I'm sure it affected my mind a little bit, where I was like, well, like,
is this my person?
Am I really wanted here? Is this really... Yeah,
interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of planted a little seed.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, not to like say you should say I love you before
Definitely
you're
not.
ready.
Definitely not.
Okay,
just hope you're not with a guy who jumps the gun on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say you jumped the gun.
No, I mean, obviously, this is it.
It was like deep into
I
our
just sensed
dating.
it. And you know what? The other thing is that I had been single for a while, and I was like 36. I was like ready
You're like ready to settle down. And I was like pretty new out of a other relationship. Yeah. I didn't want to just get into a rebound relationship. I was super hesitant to commit in that way, commit too soon, be uncertain. Is this, rebound? Do I really love this guy? I wanted to be sure before I jumped in. I was also like, I kind of wanted to be single for a while. And then you popped into my life.
I know. Well, I wanted to be single too at that point, but
really like.
But then I don't know. I guess also partly for me, it was like I had a lot of relationships and dated a lot, and I kind of knew what I liked and what I didn't like, and when I saw something that I was like, whoa,
something, huh?
I just had to, I had to move on it, and I think that was where my early sureness came from. But anyways, we're not going to get into the
I feel
details.
like we're rambling. Okay, so how we got through our breakup and how to get through a breakup.
Yeah,
I think we both...
How we got through it, because I think... I don't want to speak in absolutes about, like... I think these are good rules that we have followed, but...
They're pretty good ruals, though,
I think so, too.
General.
I think so, too.
Okay, so how we got over a breakup, and I think we did breaking up pretty well.
I think so, too.
As hard as it was.
Yes, but we did.
I think
we created a separation and a new relationship.
Exactly.
Formed.
So we really created the space.
Yeah.
So the one thing that we agreed to right when we broke up that I'm really happy we stuck to was no communication. We didn't talk to each other almost at all for 3 months. And when I say almost, it was, I think, a month into breaking up, you texted me to be like, hey, I'm unfollowing you on all social media. If you see that, like, I just want you to know it's not personal. I just need to create a little space. And I remember that ping coming up on my phone. I was at work, and like I could feel it in my like, that thing I'd been craving for a month was finally on my phone, and it was a message of like, hey, I'm creating even more distance. Right. And I just went in the back and just cried and, called a friend. But I knew it was for the best. Like, you really do have to create that space if you want to fully heal. I think that if you're just like going back, you're just like picking at the scab. Like you're never really going to fully let yourself get over it and move forward.
Yeah. And it can also make the potential of a friendship gone.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got exes that we played that game,
and now you don't want them in.
And now I just like it's just tainted.
Exactly.
You know.
And we had talked about that because we do have so many mutual friends, and the reality of us being at a party together, or an event together. Exactly. We're like, if that's gonna be a thing for the future that we can both manage, we have to do the zero contact now. And I'm really happy that we both respected that for each other.
Yeah.
You know, yes, it's about, you know, you and your healing, but it's also like give that to them as well, you know, like let them have that. Don't be texting them and being like, hey, I miss you, or like, you know, those little kind of lonely moments in the night. Like don't do that. Let yourself have that. Oof. Let them have that for their healing.
I've 100% done that.
Oh, me too. Yeah. It's so
thinking of you.
It's like the hardest thing is to go from texting all the time and having little messages and contact to having nothing at all. It's a pain deep in your soul. Like you just want it so bad.
Well, it's this point of contact where I had been getting, you know, funny reflections on stuff that I was going through, getting feedback on like issues that were
just everything up. Like, hey, I saw this, I thought of you. Like, hey, what do you think of this? It was just, you know, all of a sudden they're a constant to nothing. Yeah, and it's intense. That cord being severed is so overwhelming. Yeah. Which kind of brings me to my second point of I don't think we would have been as successful at that separation if we didn't have a solid group of friends around us. Yeah. And the irony is we had a lot of the same friends around us. Yeah.
So those friends were really boundaried.
Super boundaried.
In being like, I'm not going to triangulate anything.
Yeah. I definitely had a good, like, just so you know, I'm not going to speak about Devin's process at all, so don't ask. Yeah. I was kind of like, okay.
And none of them spoke ill about either of us either.
No, they were very much like, I still, like, you know, some close friends who've been friends with you for longer. Yeah. And they were still very much there for me. Yeah. But very like, I still love Devin, just so you know I'm there for Devin. Yeah. I'm not going to speak about his process. Like, I'm here for you as well. But it was never this like, fuck him. Like,
no.
It's never like a bashing, you know?
No.
And they encouraged me to be angry with you and like express emotion around what I'd gone through.
But that's you processing your stuff. That's not them like.
But it was about
like
a process.
Gas on the fire.
Yeah, not about like a bashing. It's just about like you have to go through these emotions. Yeah. So here's a space to do it.
Yeah. So you didn't have a lot of anger towards me until
I had almost no anger towards you.
And I don't think I had any anger towards you either.
So one thing that I really loved about the breakup, like I know that sounds kind of fucked, but
well, I mean, let's kind of reframe a breakup as like this opportunity for just growth within yourself. So, which it already is. That's not a huge reframe. Yeah, that's a pretty common thing.
But I think it is something that really helped me stay motivated to not get stuck in the mud. Yeah, was like the looking forward to what it was going to teach me about myself. And I'm not trying to sound like cliche and like, you know, growth on my growth, but like it really was a profound moment for me. And I'd done enough personal, you know, like self-work at that point to know that when you're in a moment like grief and heartbreak, it is a window to something you don't normally have access to. Like it's not an emotion, you know, we experience moving through our lives on a regular basis.
We avoid it at all costs.
It's like these little points throughout our journey. So when you're in one of those moments, it's kind of like, holy shit, like there's some profound healing that can be done here, not just about this breakup, but like, you know, deeper in my soul. Totally. So I was kind of like, okay, let's do this. Like I'm, you know, like I'm ready. And it really catalyzed some really profound healing for me.
I actually, as you're talking about it, I just see, you know, there's probably some like evolutionary stuff going on in our heads when we're feeling depressed because we're not going to be as valuable of an asset to the tribe, to the community, to the, you know, wherever we were as cavemen. And so that's built into us in a way that we avoid it. But now living in this world,
Yeah, it was like unsafe before.
yeah, now living in this world, you can actually really harness that time and in a safe way build yourself up through it.
Totally.
I think it's an interesting
And I especially like nowadays with the age of social media kind of catalyzing the movement of like feel your feelings. It's okay to have these feelings, like cry if you need to. Like therapists are being really normalized now. So we're so much more in tune and in touch with these, I don't know, ideas.
Yeah.
That when we're in something as painful as heartbreak and grief, we're not just stuffing it down. We're not just, and yes, I mean, we're all going to go through avoidant moments. I definitely went out and got drunk with the girls a few times, like sat and watched Netflix for a few days. Like, of course, we're human, but it's not the defining theme of the grief and the heartbreak. It was really like okay, like I'm safe to feel my feelings. I have a community around me that are supporting me through that journey. And yeah, I'm going to learn some shit about myself.
Yeah.
So.
And kind of really dove into that. And
I really dove into it.
And you took that, well, we both took that course.
That's right, yeah.
So that was sort of how we
got back together.
Reconnected into each other's lives was you were planning on going on a solo trip because we had planned on going to South America. We had planned a trip
and I was like, I'm still going to go. I don't need no man to take me.
Yeah.
And then I decided at the last minute, instead of using that money to like run away, I was like, why don't I just keep this train rolling and go take a therapy, like a group kind of therapy course. Yeah.
And so I caught wind that she was going to be in there, and I had been thinking about her a lot as well, and doing my own growth and my own. So my pattern in past relationships had been like, go back and keep going back until you're really sure that that's not a fit.
Totally.
And so I didn't want to do that with you. I was like, I want to outgrow that pattern. It's not what I want in my life anymore. So I had this kind of agreement with myself and with my men's group, and just like this kind of stoic stand by this new version of me. And I was talking to a friend, and I was like, oh, I miss her so much. I can't stop thinking about her.
And this was like 3 months into the breakup.
Yeah.
So we had really, we stood by that.
I had.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you feel like it's over? And I'm like, no, it's like she's still there. There's still something there. And he's like, I don't think it's over. I think there's more work for you guys to do, and I think you should just be with her until you feel complete. And it was like such a nice reframe on my whole like bouncing back and away and bouncing back, and just being like, well, if I do it consciously and I step into it, and it's not just a reflexive
and there'd been that time separation.
Exactly.
I think that's important. Like whether or not you're going to engage in, an on again, off again relationship, it's how you do it and the speed at which you do it. Like if we had jumped in right away, we still would have had so many emotions and brain fog kind of going on that it wouldn't have been happening from a conscious, empowered place. Yeah. So it would have just been feeding into these like old wounds and wanting to feel better, and I'm attached to you and I need you, and it's like it becomes a bit more of an unconscious codependent dynamic.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to like, okay, there's been a big chunk of space. Yeah. We've done a lot of reflection and work during that time, and I still feel like there's something more for us. Yeah. And I want to explore that.
Yeah, yeah. And so, we both took that course, and so we were surrounded by a lot of the people who had been supporting us the whole time. That. Yeah. So it was very beautiful, I think, in a way that time. And I when I saw you and when I started speaking to you more and spending time with you in group, and we got to do some clearings in that space and have some really good conversations. Yeah. Like I remember doing like a kind of a dyad with you where we just like everything. We're like, I want you to know, I want you to know, I want you to know, and it was and something I appreciate about you.
Yeah, it was a profound moment of like kind of spilling our minds in a way we hadn't yet. Yeah. After that separation. And
then we had like a walk together that was just like this like 3-hour beautiful romantic stroll with the
romantic.
trees
we
blooming,
just made out all over Vancouver.
Yeah, but it was like a warm spring night.
Like the back alleys, like no, it was really nice.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, there's like a lot of trees and flowers. I remember.
The smell. It just felt just like
very springtime.
Something magical happening, and then we were like, well, what would it look like? And then decided to go see the person who was running that training as, just the two of us.
Yeah, I feel like you're skipping a big part there.
Okay, what's that?
Yeah, so you weren't sure still.
No, I wasn't sure.
Yeah,
still.
so we had taken this course together. I like how you just like glazed over that. But I think it's an important part.
Okay.
So we'd had this separation. I think what really got us to that point is up until then we had this belief that we were done.
Yeah.
We weren't getting back together.
Yeah.
Like you need that. You need to let go of hope, I think.
Yeah, well, you need to let go of that relationship.
Yeah, exactly.
That relationship
is over.
had to be over.
Yeah, that dynamic that we had is over.
It's like we had clicked in wrong, but we were a great fit, but something just wasn't in the right spot.
Yeah, so we were both like, it is over. We've done our work. Like, we're moving forward. Life is good. We're okay on our own without each other. And then we took this course together and reconnected, and all of a sudden there was like this, there's unfinished business between us, I think. And then we had that night of walking home and talking and kissing and just having like a really kind of fun, playful, romantic dynamic. But I remember like we were making out and you were just like, I still don't know. Like, I'm still not sure. Like, you still had one foot out the door.
Yeah.
And
or let's say I only had 1 foot in the door.
In the door, yeah. That's 1 foot in the door. And or you were just like peeking through the door. Like you had so much.
That was that guy.
Yeah. But you still had so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
And you were very like, I could feel you not wanting.
Well, I didn't want to hurt you again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you were like, I'm still not sure.
I felt like it felt like it would be unfair to cannonball back into your life.
Totally. And I appreciate that uncertainty, or being honest about that.
Yeah.
But it also felt like, then why are you here making out with me? Why are you holding me? Why are you engaging in this dynamic? Like don't kiss me, on this side, and then on this side you're like, I don't know if you're my woman. It's kind of like, I don't want to be dragged through your confusion with you.
Yeah.
Like, I was doing okay. And then we had a couple days later, or like that, I don't know, it was pretty shortly after that, I came over and we were talking about like our getting back together, I guess. And you were just like, I just don't know if this is forever. I don't know if this is, what this is going to be long term. I just don't know. And I was like, I don't need you to know it's forever. I just need you to be 100% in until you know for sure it's not forever.
Right.
And then we can cross that bridge.
Yeah.
And I think that was also when I set a really strong boundary with you. I was like, choose me or leave me alone. Stop dragging me through your confusion.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that you were like,
that's the thing.
Yeah, but it was the hardest thing for me to say because obviously I wanted to get back together with you.
It's crazy. That's
but
what
I had
needed
done
to hear.
all this work. I had all this trust in myself that I could be more than okay without you. So when all this confusion started to come at me again, I was like, no. I was like, you are either clear until you're not clear, or you leave me alone. We don't talk. We don't communicate. We see each other in therapy, and that's it.
Yeah. And that is exactly what I was like, didn't know, but that I needed to hear so badly.
Yeah, you were, as soon as you heard that, you were like, I'm in.
Yeah. Well, what it was, so, just a little context is one of the reasons that I broke up with you in the first place was I didn't think you'd ever break up with me. I thought I had just, whatever I wanted to do, just go for it, have at it. And it just sort of didn't feel like we were equals.
Yeah.
And then when you said that to me, I was like, oh, she sees that what she is. She sees it.
I didn't think I fully understood boundaries until we broke up. And then I was able to really, get clear on what that looked like and how it felt and reflect on all the ways I was not honoring myself while we were together, and not speaking up for myself. And not that you were like, I mean, I'm not trying to create a dynamic of like I was this submissive and you were this dominant. It wasn't at all. I think we both in a lot of ways abandoned ourselves to try to get love. And I definitely did, you know. I just wasn't the woman I am now.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, this is something we've talked about a few times, but without that breakup, this would
not be possible.
Be our life.
Yeah. So when we came
Moss
back,
wouldn't be
Moss
our
wouldn't
little
be
buddy.
here. Yeah, waiting in the sun over there.
Oh God, he's in heaven.
Yeah. So this is a tough video because I do think that our story maybe isn't unique, like per se.
Everyone's story is unique in that way.
But if you're going through a breakup, I think it's important that you don't look at this as like a story of hope, you know, of like yes, this is something to look forward to. It's like, no, we were able to explore a new relationship essentially because we had totally separated, done our work, been okay alone. And then when we came back together, we were able to set really clear boundaries of what this was and wasn't going to look like. And if you want to be part of that, great. If not, like, see ya, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that really enabled us to start, you know, relearning who we were going to be for each other.
Yeah.
And we went to therapy, which was great.
Yeah. 100% recommend.
Yeah, because I was having a lot of anxiety right when we got back together, because it felt like the breakup had come out of nowhere. I remember just like sitting at home being like, he's just gonna leave me again. He's just, like, that's just it. Like, it's gonna happen at any moment. And I remember texting you a few times being like, can you just let me know we're good? Like, I had so much abandonment, like wounding, just fucking bubbling up to the surface. So I was still managing the feelings of that breakup and that old relationship and doing that healing. But then also like the excitement of this new relationship and us being in love and romantic and like a new kind of honeymoon phase. And it was so clashing to my nervous system. I was just always in this state of anxiety. So what really helped me was separating the two, being like, that's the old relationship. This is the healing I have to do. And this is what I need from you to help me do it. And if you want to be on board, great. And then also sinking into the new relationship and building that trust again and that excitement.
Well, let's also point out that if you do break up and that relationship and then get back together with the person in a new relationship, you go deep fast.
Yeah, we're like immediately saying I love you.
Yeah, like,
which was
well, it's because it's
jarring.
something that we had wanted to say for a
totally.
while,
And now we're finally
like, oh God, I fucking love you so
totally.
much.
It's like beautiful, and then also like, oh my God, like, you know, it's a lot. It's overwhelming. So if you do get back together, know that if you don't feel rainbows and sunshines all the time, that's normal. Like, you have a lot of, you know, stuff from what happened before that you're going to need to help each other work through.
Yeah, totally.
So time apart, fucking do your work. It's a wonderful time to access deep parts of yourself you don't normally get to. Have a strong, boundaried, kind community around you. And
explore the relationship as a new relationship.
If you do get back together, explore the relationship as a new relationship, and do your best to communicate how the other can be an ally in the healing that is still happening from the old relationship.
So I'd say it's 3 tips to a breakup, and then a bonus tip
if you get back together.
But you have to approach the first 3 as if the 4th one isn't not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, that's not healthy to approach any of this with the intention of, well, if I do this work, we can get back together. It's like, no.
No,
you
do it
have
for
to
yourself.
do it for yourself.
Yeah. Honestly, it's like some of the best. I think really diving into the breakup was one of the best gifts I gave myself. And again, I couldn't have done it without the people around me. Could not have done it alone.
Yeah.
So don't do it alone.
Don't do it alone.
It's not an alone thing.
No. Nothing's an alone thing.
No.
Even meditation is better with like a group of people around you, you know? It's just like, we're designed to be together.
Yeah, we're designed for community. We thrive. Our relationship now is as good as it is because we have so many people outside of this, you know, partnership.
Yeah, totally. Cool.
Bye.
Good one.